There's a word that doesn't come up often in everyday conversation, but it quietly shapes the way millions of people experience the world around them. That word is alexithymia, and it means literally no words for emotions. It's not a disorder, it's not a diagnosis, it's a trait, a way that some brains experience emotion differently. People with alexithymia don't lack emotion. They have emotion, they feel everything, but they often can't name what they feel or tell you where it's coming from. Alexithymia is defined as a difficulty with identifying, describing, and distinguishing emotions in oneself. You might know something is off, right? Like a tight chest, a restless energy, an ache in your stomach, but you still can't tell whether that's anger, sadness, anxiety, or maybe you're just hungry. It's like having a body full of static, but no clear radio signal to tune into. Research is showing that about 50% of people on the autism spectrum also experience significant alexithymia. But it's not limited to autism. It can show up in trauma, PTSD, depression, and even chronic medical conditions. The brain's wiring for emotional awareness, especially in the anterior insula and anterior cingulate cortex, functions differently, which creates a kind of disconnection between feeling and language. And here's the important part. Alexithymia isn't emotional emptiness. It's emotional opacity. The feelings are there, but the translation process between the body, brain, and your words gets jammed up. Someone with alexithymia might seem calm or detached in moments when others would cry or rage. They might say things like, I don't know what to feel, but I know it's bad. Or, I'm not sad, I'm just tired. They might come across as cold, even when they do care deeply. Or they might experience physical pain instead of emotional pain, like headaches, stomach aches, or fatigue. Therapy can be confusing because questions like, what are you feeling right now, sound almost foreign. It's not avoidance, it's language mismatch. The body is speaking a language the mind doesn't fully understand. Here's where this gets especially relevant to autism. For decades, people assumed that autistic individuals just lacked empathy. But research has shown something remarkable. The issue is not a lack of empathy. It's the presence of alexithymia. Studies by Bird and Cook in 2013, others in 2023 found that when you separate autistic people with alexithymia from those without it, empathy differences largely disappear. In other words, autistic people who don't have alexithymia often show perfectly typical or even heightened emotional empathy. So it's not that emotions are missing, it's emotions being misread, misfiled, miscategorized, or mislabeled, both by the person experiencing them and by the people observing the person experiencing them. The heart is still online. The Wi-Fi just keeps dropping out. The science points to something called interoception, which is your brain's ability to notice what's happening inside your body. Things like when your heart starts racing, hunger, thirst, temperature, and gut sensations. Interoception is the foundation for emotional awareness. If the body's internal signals are muted, delayed, or overwhelming, your brain has trouble linking them to specific emotions. That's why alexithymia and autism often overlap. Both involve atypical interoceptive processing. You might not realize you're anxious until your stomach starts hurting, or you might not know you're sad until you shut down. The emotion lives in the body first, basically, and only later, if ever, reaches the mind. When you can't easily name your feelings, you can't regulate them well either. That means emotions build until they overflow or collapse inward. You might go from numb to explosive or from fine to falling apart without noticing the gradual rise. It's like trying to drive without a fuel gauge. You only know something's wrong once the engine dies. This can lead to misunderstandings in relationships as well, because partners may think you're uncaring. Friends may see you as distant, but inside you might be aching, just unable to articulate it. So how do you start rebuilding the bridge between body and the language of emotion? Start with sensations. When something feels off, ask yourself, where is it in my body? And then ask yourself, what emotion is this? Use an emotion wheel. Sometimes you need a visual vocabulary to expand emotional literacy about how you're actually feeling. Journal by describing your body. Instead of, I'm mad, try, my chest feels tight and my hands are shaking and my fingers feel numb and I feel like I can't breathe and I feel like the walls are closing in. Over time, you'll start recognizing patterns. Somatic and mindfulness therapies can be very powerful. Things like body scans, gentle movement, breath work, even temperature awareness. And for any clinician listening, don't push for labels too early. Invite curiosity about physical sensations and metaphors. If this feeling were weather, what kind would it be? It's not about fixing alexithymia. It's just about translating the language your body already speaks. If you lived your whole life being told you're cold, distant, or unfeeling, but deep down, you know you do feel, this might finally make sense for you. Alexithymia isn't a moral flaw or a personality flaw. It's a neural translation delay. It's a trait. You're not broken for needing time to understand what you feel, or needing more time to understand what you feel, or to identify your emotions, or to communicate them. And when you do start to connect the dots, when the static clears just long enough to hear the emotions beneath it, you realize you were never numb. You were just speaking a different emotional language than other people. So maybe the goal isn't to find the right feeling. Maybe it's to start listening more closely to what your body's already been trying to tell you all along. I hope this resonates with somebody. I hope you learned something from this. And thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.